My name is Nadav, all right, and I have a BA in psychology and master in business administration. And what I did in my master thesis is the influence of capitalism on human psychology. Okay, and what I'm going to talk about first of all on the influence of social inequality that is related to capitalism today. Okay, on social problems and human psychology. Okay, so it's like two parts. The first part I'm going to talk about the way capitalism is influencing social inequality, and this social inequality is influencing social problems. Okay, and after that I will try to understand how capitalism is influencing, very shortly, it's a really wide subject, how capitalism is influencing human psychology. What's the changes when a country is going through capitalism, modern capitalism, what's the changes in values? Okay, so we start generally with the notion that in our today's Western modern economies, okay, most of the world countries want to get richer and economically developed. Okay, everybody agree about that? A successful economy is one that has positive growth rate, okay, high standards of living and low unemployment. So generally worldwide, okay, all societies today, most of the societies today, want to be richer, get economically developed. Now, there's few ways to be economically developed, but the main way today, all over the world, and I think it's the only way, except maybe a few exceptions like Costa Rica and some kingdom in India, most of the countries use capitalism. Okay? So we're not going to get to the definition of what is capitalism, okay? But I have to ask you in advance, which is the most capitalistic nation today in the world?
States?
The States. America, probably. I'm talking about the Western world, okay? Let's talk about the Western world. Let's not leave aside India and China, but because the research I'm going to show is talking about the Western world. So the most Western highly capitalist nation is United States, okay? Very high social inequality, a lot of wealth with the rich guys, okay? Very market oriented. The government is not intervening, not doing social welfare, stuff like that. And what are the most socialist countries in the Western world?
Deutschland.
The North European ones, yes. Germany, but the North European Scandinavians are more social than Germany, but Germany is still social, okay? So because this is a short lecture, I'm going to take these two sides, okay? United States on the one end, okay? Very capitalistic nation, large social inequality, okay? And on the other side, the Scandinavian one, very socialist states, a lot of governmental intervention, large social welfare system, okay? Very low inequality between the people, okay, between the rich and the poor. We talked about the fact that most of the countries want to get richer. This is the graph of life expectancy, okay, how many years people live. And you can see that to be richer is very important to raise your life expectancy. But from a certain stage, okay, it doesn't matter how much people earn or how much the country is rich, okay, life expectancy stays the same. Okay, so till around $10,000 per person per year, okay, you have a large increase in life expectancy. From around 10,000, it's barely going up. Okay, now if we look here, you can see that this is the most richest country, anything between 20,000 per person per year. Okay, and you can see it doesn't matter, as you don't have to be rich to live longer. Okay, according to a country, okay? But if we look inside the country, okay, this is a graph from Britain, okay, the most poor live 7 years less than the most rich. Okay, this is the most poor and this is the most rich. Okay, so this difference of around 8 years between people inside UK, inside the country. This is right also for United States and also for Israel. Okay, this is guys that call Equality Trust. This is a UK project. Okay, UK experienced a large social inequality in the last 30 years. And what they did a worldwide survey, okay? And they took all 23 large Western nations, okay? And measured the social inequality in those nations. Now, as we talked about, just again for simplification reasons, the North European one, Finland, Norway, and Sweden is on the left side, very low social inequality, and UK and United States mainly is very high social inequality. The 20 richest people, the 20% of the rich people earn 8.5 more than the lowest 20%. The figure in the North European is probably half, okay, of it. All the rest of the countries, of course, are in the middle. Now, what they did, they took a bunch of social problems. They didn't talk about economy, they didn't talk about GDP, about employment, and all kind of boring economical measures. They took a bunch of measures that really measure the real social well-being, you know, like life expectancy, infant mortality, homicide, people in prison, stuff like that, okay? And they have this really distinct, beautiful line, and they show that as more that you have social inequality, as more that you have social gaps, you have a worse society regarding those problems. I'm going to talk about those problems in a minute. Okay, you can see this linear line. Okay, and of course, United States is on the upper edge with the worst social problems, and the North European ones are in the lower left with very good social situation, and again they show this is not related to richness. Okay, you can have a very rich country and a fucked up, sorry about the expression, society. Okay, and you can have not very rich country but still have very good society. Okay, and what I mean when I'm saying very good society, okay, let's start with the measure. Okay, first measure is child well-being, drug use, getting pregnant early, violence. This is a UNICEF measure. Again, you can see almost a perfect line between countries that have very high social gaps and countries that doesn't have social gaps. And you can see that as much as you have social gaps, you have the situation of your child well-being is worse. Okay. Now, the same with the level of trust, okay? If you have a country that have high social gaps, you have lower level of trust, okay? United States around less than 40%. In the Swedish, Norway and Finland, the North Scandinavian one, we see that more than 70% of the people report high level of trust. They can trust other people. Okay, trust, by the way, is very important for an economy, for a society to run. Drug use, okay, again, as much as you have social inequality, people use more drugs, okay, it's almost, again, a straight line. Again, the North Scandinavian are lower in drug use. And it's continuing, okay, obesity. Okay, non-equal society have more obesity rate, okay, and equal society have lower obesity, have less fat people, okay. Educational scores, people know, probably the TIMSS and the PISA. This is an international test that pupils all around the world are being tested in. And again, as much as you have social inequality, you have worse educational scores in those tests. Okay? Teenager birth rates. Again, the same thing. You can see United States on the very upper part of it. And this is like a teenage birth between 15 to 19 per 1,000 women. All right? What else? Homicide rates. Okay, again, if you have large income inequality. So this was a very, very interesting project, and they talk all over the world. The ones that did it are like social epidemiologists, okay, and they lecture all around the world, and they say that the most maybe vital and very important figure in your economy is the social inequality. Not the growth rate, not the unemployment, the social equality. Okay, so we said this is homicide rates. So people get more murdered in inequality countries. Sorry. The same, of course, with rate of imprisonment, people in jails compared to the population size. Again, United States on the upper part, more prisoners. United States, by the way, have 2.5 million people in jails. Okay, very high and strict punishment. And the Scandinavians, of course, have very low rate of people in prison. And the same with social mobility, for example. Okay, United States, the endless opportunity, I don't know even to say it in English, countries that offer a lot of opportunity have very low social mobility rates. That means the chance to earn more of what your father earned. Okay, and the Scandinavians have higher social mobility rates. Okay, this is because, again, the country is investing in the poor, giving people scholarship, free tuition in school. You know, people can really change their life circumstances. And of course, recycling. So also equal society are tending more to be more greener. Okay, and non-equal societies are less green and recycle less. So generally speaking, everybody got the point?
Yes.
Okay, when you have a country that, you know, there's a large inequality between rich and poor, and we can think of what was the reason first. Maybe the people in advance that are more, you know, societies that is stronger or more, have more values, created a situation with less economical gaps, or the economical gaps created those problems. Again, this is a very complex issue, and the reasons is full of reason to maybe, maybe explain what we saw here. But what I'm going to speak about is maybe the psychological reasons of what we see here. What's happening in a modern capitalistic society? Okay, and if you take United States, for example, and you compare it to Scandinavia, and this is my research field, and in societies that has more social inequality, United States, for example, okay, there's more feelings of inferiority and superiority, okay? There's more feeling regarding this social hierarchy. This is more important thing, okay? Of course, there's more competition. People feel they need to compete more, okay? There's more insecurity regarding your professional and social status. Okay, one of the reasons for that is, again, because the country is not doing social welfare, people feeling insecure, more insecurity. And another byproduct of all this social inequality and a country that is not taking care of its citizens is more concerned about the way we are being looked, okay, and perceived by others. Okay, there's more social anxiety. Of course, societies that has, a more capitalistic, more unequal, there's more values of power, more values of achievements. They rank in those values higher than more egalitarian, equal societies. The motivation is more leaning to a motivation of social power, wealth, economical wealth, authority, influencing other people, and social success. And egalitarian society, more equal societies, are leaning to more universalism values, benevolence, being generous, help, and mutual responsibility. Now, another value survey they did over the world, this is very famous researchers in America. The name of the guy is Tim Kaiser, and investigating materialism. Okay? And what he did also a worldwide survey with few other researchers. And he shows that the Americans, compared to the North Europeans, are leaning more to materialism. What is materialism according to his definition? Okay, first of all, financial success. Okay? financial success is very important. I think the survey that I heard about is 80% of the people, of the students in the United States report that they go to learn something because of what they're going to make after. According to his definition, extrinsic values, okay? And on the other side, this is intrinsic values. Now, extrinsic values is, he called it materialism orientation. And again, this is, first of all, financial success. Now, after financial success, this is image, okay? Fashion, the way I'm look, you know, the way I'm looking externally. And after that, this is popularity, all the celeb culture and everything. And it shows that in America or in other more capitalistic and non-equal societies, this is those values. I know that you have those things in Europe, also the same, but in capitalistic non-equal society, this is more extreme. Okay, we have more of materialism. Okay, and he called it those materialistic values are extrinsic values. That means that people derive their values, their social esteem, their self-esteem from outside. This is materialism. Okay, you always look for social approval. You always look for your value outside, not inside. And this is causing a lot of problems. Okay, people that are on this side are leaning more to depression, to social anxiety. We talked before about the fact that people are, linked to social anxiety in unequal societies, and this is not a good place to be, all right? According to the psychology. And the other side of it, and this is, if we do it in North Europe, you will see a tendency. Those values are being ranked less than in America. Okay, and those on the values on the other side, this is intrinsic value. That means something for the good of itself. Okay, not looking for a value or outside. Okay, derive your value outside, but derive your value within yourself. Okay, so self-acceptance, of course, this is the opposite. I just accept myself, not looking for this social approval. Affiliation, that means mutuality, healthy mutuality between people. Okay. Of course, also the physical health there, and of course, on the upper part, more community feeling, more mutual feeling with the community, and those values are being ranked higher. And of course, people on in this side are being ranked also higher with the feeling of vitality, psychological health, stuff like that. So again, in psychology, you better be on the other side, on the right side, and not on the left. This is basically it. Thank you. If you have any questions.
I wish to ask a question.
Yes.
Because you started the lecture with how does it influence us as individuals, how capitalism actually influences us in a psychological way. Mm-hmm. And I wish to ask you how you've been affected from capitalism as an individual, and what you do to escape or to push yourself out of those paradigma and to be able to control your life as you want your life without or with the minimum effect of the world, let's say.
Don't watch TV.
All right.
This is one thing. I assume that most of the people don't watch TV here. Maybe.
Ad block.
But generally, another very interesting figure is so the North European are limiting advertisement, for example.
Okay.
And if you're more capitalist, you have more advertisement and more consumerism and more work. For example, the Americans work 350 hours more than the Europeans. Okay, and they advertise more, and they don't limit, for example, advertisement for children. In Norway, for example, you don't allow to publish till the age of 12. The government is intervening and stopping capitalism and capitalistic value to penetrate society and influencing the individual. And if you are living in a very extreme capitalistic nation, there's no boundaries, there's no somebody to stop the influences of capitalism on the individual. And regarding disconnecting yourself I think it's you know, it's just personal responsibility. You don't, you know, it's just.
You say each of us do whatever he think that is the best to do to be not to be that affected, or we have our own ways to deal with that.
Yeah, we come from Israel. Israel is a very good example because Israel took the American side very extremely. This is the reason, and I did the same lecture in the 2011 demonstration, and people came with the same feeling. They felt that something is wrong. We became leaning. We were extremely took the American side, you know, and Israel with America, if you have the Gini unequal measure, and we are the same with America regarding social gaps. And this is really affecting society. People are starting to become alienated, you know, because of commercialism, consumerism, and of course money and social inequality. So it's really affecting society on the bad side. So.
Thanks.